Gamers are sick and tired of this woke, queer, gay, perverted, degenerate ideology inserted into everything, making female characters look less female, making male characters less masculine, putting all of this crap in our games that we don't want, because games are supposed to be fun and games are supposed to be an escape from reality. Well, people are sick of it. Woke games have been plummeting and tanking, even these massive budgets, high anticipated games. Look at what happened with Dragon Age the Veilguard, which I was speaking out against it. A lot of us were speaking out against it about how just it was failing. And we got gaslit by people saying, oh, actually, it's doing well. Actually, it's number 2 right now. Sales. It's doing great, dude. We could read between the lines and we could see that it was flopping. And sure enough, it was flopping. And now that's the safe opinion to have. Now these outlets are going back and retracting their statements and, oh, well, actually, there's some issues with Veilguard. Meanwhile, IGN gave it a 9 and was pushing it, and undoubtedly some people bought it because of that review. And now it's safe to say, actually, there's some problems. But I digress. The regular gamers could read between the lines, could see that these woke games were trash. So now we have here where allegedly, coming to us from Fandom Pulse, a Ubisoft insider alleges that company wants Steam to remove concurrent player counts to hide its failures. Because that's the thing, is how are a lot of us gauging how these woke games have been failing? It has been via concurrent player count. We saw that with Dragon Age the Veilguard failing to hit numbers that it needed to reach. While it wasn't a colossal failure in that regard, in terms of like compared to Concord, Dustborn, so on and so forth, it definitely, we could see that it didn't reach the numbers that it needed to reach to even come close to a profit. We saw that much. And so in this case with Star Wars Outlaws, it comes to Steam, the concurrent players in its first week, it couldn't even hit 2,500 concurrent players. I mean, now I know this game's already been out on console for what, a month or two, but still, this is abysmal. These numbers are terrible for a Star Wars game. A Star Wars game made by Ubisoft, who has the reputation and the portfolio that they should be able to be pulling in far more than this. I mean, they need to be pulling in at least tens of thousands of concurrent, if not 100,000 concurrent. I mean, if you want a game to be a massive success, well, then you're going to need hundreds of thousands of concurrent players, if not even more than that. You look at like Wukong, Black Myth Wukong, that hit over millions of players, right? Concurrent. So even if you don't think something like this can be among the top tier, with it failing to reach even tens of thousands is not good. Again, the Star Wars title especially, this should have been hitting minimum 50,000 concurrent viewers if it were actually good. But at this, I've said this about games like Concord and stuff. I am convinced that content creators can make a game and get more concurrent players than this to reach more of a higher peak of players than this. I mean, obviously it depends on which one, but just saying, for a game to be struggling this much by such a massive company that is Ubisoft, this is bad. And it's that demonic woke ideology that is largely responsible for this. Now, when it comes to Star Wars Outlaws, we've seen the videos, we've seen it's glitchy and it's a hot mess. So we do see that much. But I do think also another huge reason why this game has failed is because it's just not appealing. It doesn't sell you. If you really look back, I mean, look at before the internet, right? If you were buying games before the internet, I have memories of like going to the rent store with my brothers and we were picking games based on the cover. We looked at the cover art, we looked at the back of the game case, That's how you decided if you wanted a game or not. Does this look good? And if it looks cool and it looks fun, then you buy it. Now, even though you have the internet now and you have access to seeing a bunch of gameplay or trailers or finding out more about the game or people's opinions about the game, well, obviously that does make a huge difference. There is still a visual appeal. If you marketing, it's marketing. That's just how it is. Visually, something needs to grab you and catch your eye if you want it. So I don't care if you have the best game in the entire world, which obviously isn't the case with this, but if you have the best game in the entire world, but it's ugly and it doesn't look good, you're not going to be as successful. Now, you can have a game, I would venture to say that you can have a game that's flawed and not great even. But if it has the most awesome art style and aesthetic to it, you can still move some units. Obviously, you need a combination of both when it comes to visual appeal and good gameplay, and this has neither, seemingly. Some people are saying they like the gameplay or whatever, but let's just look at it. It's ugly. It is ugly. They hired a beautiful model, and they made her look very plain and boring. There's just nothing about this that is interesting to look at. Now, I remember when I was younger, I used to get like those Game Pro magazines, Game Informer and Game Pro magazines. And I want to say it was in one of those that maybe I'm mixing it up with. It also could have been from like a developer interview or something that you could unlock from a game. I can't remember for sure, but I do remember an artist, like a video game artist, saying, hey, if you want to look at character design and what makes a good character, you need to be able to recognize that character if you're only looking at the silhouette. And they really emphasize the importance of design and aesthetic. And so whenever you look at characters like classic Lara Croft, Mario, Master Chief, you can look at a silhouette of these characters and still recognize them. And for most people to recognize them because they were that iconic and their designs are that eye-catching. But when you have someone like this and you put a silhouette, you're not going, I don't know, is that an NPC? Like, it just does not stand out. There's really no visual appeal there to make you want to buy it. And why is the argument always, well, realism, but what about my realism? She isn't a very supermodel looking girl, isn't going to be a bounty hunter. And it's like, why is this an argument point for a video game? A video game isn't real. So whenever, but it's just not realistic for her to be pretty because she's... Who gives a crap if something's realistic? I had the same argument with somebody on X yesterday about Arcane. I was like, yeah, they took Vi who was previously a very feminine punk Barbie looking character, and they made her look like a butch lesbian in Arcane. Now, you can like it, that's fine, but at least admit it. Don't pretend like, and when people say they're anti-woke, but then they still make the same excuses as woke people, it's like, well, then are you though? They're all, well, it's just not realistic that her old design just doesn't look realistic to be as strong. So she needs to be a lot more masculine looking to do what she does. Since when do we care about that? So it's a video game or a fictional universe. Since when if you want realism, go out in the real world. But if you're going to take a pre-existing character especially, or you're just going to make them uglier, why? I mean, Lara Croft didn't have the exactly ideal physique to be rock climbing with her curves and all that, but who cares? And I don't think the games need to be pornographic and that you need to have all this gooner stuff. I do not like games that do that. It's gross. It's cheap. It cheapens it. I don't care. Even if it's a male character, I don't want to, like these mods for Leon Kennedy where he's wearing these jock straps or whatever. I don't want that. That's just gross. But a character can look cool. A character can look attractive. A character can, it's a fictional, why do people want more realism, but this is more, why are you looking for that in a video game where people going, more realism with Halo games? Oh, this just isn't realistic enough. People talking about classic Tomb Raider. I would like this more if it was realistic. Okay, so if you want to go with realistic, are we going to make it where she can't jump as high, she can't jump as far, she can't do as many acrobatics? Oh, now you have a realistic stamina meter, so she can only run effectively for 10 minutes, and then she's got to go sit down for a bit. It's like, dude, it's a video game. So anyway, there you have it for this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. And as always, if you want me to read the Bible to you, you can check out my Bible channel at Bible Time with Melanie Mack. Thank you all again. I'll catch you next time. And in the meantime, go boom.